The intro video was the logo for the Heumann Perspective, which has purple and orange concentric circles around a photo of Judy Heumann. This fades into a video with a light purple border with Judy Heumann in one frame and Jillian Mercado in another. Judy is a white woman who uses a wheelchair and has short brown hair. She is wearing red glasses and a blue button-down sweater. Behind her is the dining room of her home. Jillian is a Hispanic woman who uses a wheelchair and has short black hair. She is wearing a pale yellow shirt and a black hat. Behind her is the kitchen of her home.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Heumann Perspective. Today, our guest is Jillian Mercado. I really look forward for this discussion, Jillian, where you can talk to our audience so they can learn more about you. Maybe we could start off by getting a little bit of background. You and I are both from New York. Where are you from in New York?
Correct. I am from the in between the Upper West Side and Harlem, like right at the Strip.
What is your disability?
Yeah, so my disability is spastic muscular dystrophy. And really, I mean, for me specifically, it just, my tendons get really tight sometimes.
What was it like growing up?
From what I gather, until I went to like middle school, I was just like any other kid. I just had like a walker and, you know, other people didn't, but for me, it was just like I had Nike sneakers and my friend didn't have Nike sneakers. Like that's how I viewed my disability growing up. Like it was a simple childhood growing up until probably middle school when the realization kind of kicked in because of peers, because of, I guess, going into my youth and asking questions and realizing that I was very different from my peers. And how my teachers and adults treated me was extremely different.
So did your parents know these things were going on? Did you let them know?
I don't think, and this is not to like downgrade my parents' like knowledge, but I don't think they understood why it was such a big deal for me. Mm-hmm. I think that it was more like, Jillian, just go to school. Your teachers know best why they do what they do. So it was a little hard to kind of have that conversation with my parents, not because they didn't know or they couldn't understand, but it was also because they didn't know and they couldn't understand, you know? Yeah. And especially because my parents are from the Dominican Republic, culture is very different. So there's some things now that are very hard to have a conversation of because of the representation that people with disabilities have in Dominican Republic. It's not the best. It's not the best.
Obviously, one of the important parts of your life and mine and others where our families come from other countries is really as we're adapting and adopting more assertive ways of presenting ourselves that can be different, you know, and it can be a little difficult for families sometimes, but I think at the end of the day, they're very proud of you, right?
No, oh my God, they're my first cheerleaders, literally. Like there's some things I'm like, Mom, this is embarrassing. She's like, I'm just so proud of you. And I'm like, oh, thank you. You know, I mean, everything I do, I do with my mom in my mind.
When did you start thinking about a future and a career and what your aspirations were?
Yeah, bringing it back to the mom. I remember senior year of high school where we had to pick our colleges. And I remember speaking to my mom about it, that I had no idea. And then I was really scared because I had no idea what I wanted to do. And she was like, you know, Jillian, you have such a privilege and an opportunity that you grew up in the United States and you grew up specifically in New York City. And you have a Latin inside of you that's like a fire that will never burn. So my suggestion, and if this is any way to start, you know, figuring out what you want to do, is do whatever makes you happy. And I remember kind of like sitting with myself and like writing things down that I like doing. And I remember even like, I was like, oh, I really like to go to the Philharmonic. I really like watching like ballerina videos. I really like fashion. And then I just kept going fashion and fashion and fashion and fashion and fashion. So that's what I did. And I signed up for every single school in New York City that had any close relationship to fashion.
How did you get from FIT into modeling? And how was your experience at FIT?
Oh, I mean, FIT really kind of like opened all doors for me, because it was such a prestigious school. Everyone knew, especially in the industry, if you were studying at FIT, you obviously knew your stuff. I mean, I woke up every day like, oh my God, I'm going to FIT and being surrounded with all these like-minded people that really love what they're doing. But from there, I had the opportunity to meet at that time, the creative director of Diesel. And we hit it off, and he was the one who gave me my first modeling worldwide campaign in 2014.
Were you afraid before you said yes?
Heck yeah. I was afraid because I was like, well, in my mind, my mission was to become an editor. Like that's what I was gearing for in college. That was my mission, to hire people like myself in covers and give opportunities in editorial, and sharing stories, because there's so many stories that I think the community has. I understood how lack of representation was for our community very early on. Interesting enough, life was like, maybe you should be the one on the cover. But after that ad came out, I very much estimated the power it had, with the community and with people who have never seen anyone in a fashion ad, in a way that it was just as simple as I just happened to be in a wheelchair who's also a model on an ad. And that's nothing more than that.
When did you start getting into acting?
Ooh, it's funny because I remember going to like drama classes in high school and really loving it. But like professionally acting, it's only been since the first episode of The L Word. So
when was that?
Like 2 years ago.
How did that come about?
I know, right? I question myself every day. My agent at the time presented the script to me. It was like, hey, they're looking for someone who has a physical disability to act in this TV show. And I was just like, oh, I wonder what it is. And then I clicked it and I was like, oh my God, I know this show. I used to watch the show when I was younger. And it was kind of like fate, because the character that I play on this show is my mom's name. And this particular show, she did not want me watching when I was younger because it was risky. So I would watch it without her knowing. So when I saw the script, I'm like, oh, I have to at least try. I have to and I also really love that they were looking for real representation. I think if anything, that really was like the golden ticket for me, because as you may know, and anybody who's listening, a representation for the disability community in entertainment has been depressing, has been very aggravating, and that definitely affected myself growing up, because that's the knowledge that people get if they don't know someone who has a physical disability is on television or in books and magazines. And so it was very much of a moment. I was like, wow, I'm someone who always preaches about representation, and now I have this opportunity to venture out and possibly, leading in this kind of a industry. And I was like, you know what, I always do things once, and if it works out, it works out, and if it doesn't, then that was not my story to tell. But I did it, and a month later they were like, hey, so you got the role. And I'm like, what? And then from there on, I took every living acting class that you could probably think of.
What are some of your aspirations for the future?
Now that I've dabbled in so many different parts of the industry, I kind of just want to keep that going until me being somewhere isn't a surprise, until headlines remove the disabled part of the title. But in career advice, for sure, I kind of want to be very successful so I can use that success to talk about situations that we need to be talking about within the community. I feel like policies sometimes move faster when you have a name to yourself. And that's what I kind of want to do.
And I think you are getting a name for yourself.
Yes, so I'm coming for those policies. I'm coming for that change because We have been screaming. I mean, you have been leading that scream for years. So
Yeah, and I think you represent disability, racial diversity, gender. And so you really, I think as your work moves forward, different communities can see themselves within you. And then the ultimate importance, I guess, is that, as you've been saying, it was certainly true in my development, which was decades ago, and is still, unfortunately, still true, that we don't see each other enough.
yeah.
And the fact that, you and now there are a few other people who are really slowly being able to break into the industry, it's a lot of responsibility, I think, for us in trying to also make sure that what is being done is authentic and appropriately represents our visions.
Mhm.
What are some of the things that you've been doing lately, and what are some things that you're anticipating that you may be doing in the future?
That I'm doing lately? I mean, lately I've been living my best life. Lately, I've been taking care of my mental health, because I feel like, as you said, the responsibility is work. But I am working on a couple things. I may be working on a little TV show. I may or may not be working on a little line, and I may or may not be working on a little book.
Okay, that's really good to know. And that means that we will all have to follow what you're doing so that we know that one or more of those things and other opportunities will be coming forward. I
Yes,
think
yes.
that's
And
really,
I'm still working very heavily on Black disabled creatives, and it's a platform that my friend and I came up with because I always get asked the question, "Oh, now that we've hired you, we would love to open it up to other disabled folks." And I'm like, "Well, you know how you found me? There's plethora of people out there who would love an opportunity like this." So a friend of mine created this kind of platform where other creatives can know that they're not alone in this world, and there are other disabled folks out there who are as creative as they are, and they can feel like they're in a community within themselves. But also, it was mainly to get hired for jobs.
so I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. I look forward to staying in touch with you. And most importantly, I look forward to your career really continuing to expand and to be a real change maker. So
Thank you.
thank you for everything you do.
Oh, thank you. What are you talking about? Thank you for everything that you've done and are doing. You're like the most iconic person, and I appreciate this conversation so much. And thank you for everything that you do as well.
History won't forget us or try to minimize our pain, and so